Michael, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent. Okay. And you have screen sharing abilities?
I do.
Excellent. Thank you. So, there we go. Um, and I know Sarah shared with you just to be patient as the legislature moves on and
You got it. Not a problem.
committees happen.
Yep.
And I don't want to leave you in the lurch. It seems like we had an overlay with another discussion of an economic impact from the summer that didn't get transferred. It was our people did our job. We did our job. It seemed to be a little bit delinquent when it got to the interim committee and the Board of Public Ed. So this is
Okay.
on technology standards. I don't know if you remember that economic impact statement.
I don't know specifically what you're talking about, but I kind of remember.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What's crazy is this is a bill that I put into play in 13 and it got vetoed by Bullock, and then I reran it in 15 and it got passed. So he didn't sign the damn thing, but anyway, it's to if the Board of Public Ed was to make any accreditation changes of any kind,
Mhm.
there needed to be an impact statement, and it was on economics as much as not an unfunded mandate. And it seems that all the 5 that we just recently did this last year,
Band-Aid.
technology was it.
Gotcha.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Angela. Hi, Donnie.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Of course. Thank you for joining.
So Sarah, are they still in Senate Ag?
They are.
Hmm. Like I was just telling Michael, hello Angela, hello Donnie, that we were going to discuss with PAD and legislative fiscal that there was a economic impact statement on our technology standards that we had the Board of Public Ed review and approve this last year. And it seems that it just kind of stalled. It did go in front of the interim committee, but nothing happened then. So we now have to rectify and follow the law. So that's the same meeting as this one. So it's kind of like split the baby in half. Hey, Donnie.
Don?
Hello.
So Sarah, this was the picture that we were searching for so that we could have put it on the documents that went up on the legislators' desks.
Yeah, Michael got it to me last evening when we were done with those documents.
Okay, we're done.
I've got it now.
Okay, great. So we'll be sure to get Holly's and put that up for the next one that we do on the whole child discussion that we have. And Michael, I do believe there was a bill that we had some touches to, which I believe the vernacular is the link, which had to do with the repository.
Yes.
I didn't watch the hearing today, but I believe it was today, and it was Representative Paraguay's bill that she had.
Okay, on the photo repository bill?
Yes, it's a linked bill, and they're extending the Missing Indigenous Task Force, but they're also extending this. And I don't know what ramifications that does mean to the OPI and the good work that you did prior.
Okay. Is there an LC or a HB, SB on that yet?
Sarah, it was a bill today. Is it on our bill stats?
I'm sorry, which one, Elsie?
This is Representative Paraguay's missing and endangered bill that is with the link. LINC. I don't know what the acronym stands for. You're going to need bifocals, Sarah. I can see you just peering at
I ordered some of those fancy new blue light glasses. I hope they help. Staring at this bank of screens all day has not been good for my eyes.
Is that a bad thing? Because I'm getting there too.
No, Donnie, we're just gonna put you up for Santa Claus this Christmas.
Yeah. If I could grow a beard, that's a no-go for me.
Shucks.
Elsie, what was the name of the representative?
It was
Stuart
Sharon.
Paraguay.
Yes, thank you for that.
Give me the first couple of letters of the last name. What?
It's TEW.
CEW. Okay. All right, I can find it from.
It's LC 299, House Bill 98
Okay.
was up this morning in Judiciary. And it goes hand in hand with the Missing Persons Response Team training, House Bill 36. She had both of those in Judiciary today.
Gotcha.
And as we had discussed, Michael, to put graduation numbers and put the missing children repository together would have probably blended too many A to Z's. So I think very succinctly on the graduation today is good. So Donnie, I met a newly member of the Macy board today. Tell me a little bit about this gentleman that's coming. He has vast experience, and now he's landed as the coordinator in Great Falls. Do you know him at all? I think Dugan is his name.
Oh yeah, Dugan. Yes, he's I worked with him when we did that intertribal strong youth group, and he's Blackfeet.
Mhm.
And just he was working at, I think, at University of Great Falls. He was at the district for a while, Great Falls, and then moved over to University of Great Falls. And then I think when Marcy Cabell and Michelle left, or wait, he came back over. And yeah, he's a great man. He's culturally centered and really connects with youth.
He was, I was just empowered by his voice today. You know, when we're in this kind of a world, that's what it is. And he did say that he had worked at the university setting, I do believe, for Ochi, correct, Angela? I think so.
He did. He used to work for Montana Educational Talent Search.
Excellent.
That's what it is. Yep.
Okay. But he's just had such a robust, I mean, his profile was just very rich with so many things. And
Yeah, he's a good man.
Hi,
He's
Ronnie
got
Joe.
great heart.
Welcome and congratulations on your promotion today.
Oh, thank you. How are you guys?
Wonderful. For those of you that don't know, Ronnie Joe was promoted to the Executive Director of Western Native Voice today.
Congratulations.
yes, congratulations. My goodness. And I very much appreciate you being part of these discussions. You know, you have the time right now if you had any questions. Does she have the information? Did we send out that packet to, we know we sent it to the legislators.
Yep, our process, Elsie, has been as soon as these are done, all the documents that are shared go out to anyone who participated.
Okay. Michael, maybe let's go ahead and start. I know her time is busy. Let's go ahead and just share what you have, and then we can get any questions under the table or over the table before we have our esteemed legislators attend.
Sure. Hi, my name's Michael Sweeney, as Elsie said, and I'm the Chief Data Officer here at the OPI. Elsie invited me to come present to the group today on our graduation and dropout rates from last year, which we just finalized and released last week. And so we were going to focus a little bit on our American Indian statistics on here a little bit. So can you see my screen? Okay.
We have dovetailed this lovingly, the Christmas graph.
Yes.
Okay, the Christmas graduation graph.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know how deep you want me to go into this. I kind of had a little thing ready for the whole group, but if you want me to kind of run through this for Ronnie, I'd be for Ronnie and Angela, I'd be happy to do that now.
You know, Michael, I know that you get better. It's just like in education, you get better after many times that you get to present this.
All right. Well, I can see Angela's got her glasses on. I'm going to probably make her go blind trying to see these numbers. So Angela, don't worry about looking at the exact numbers. I'll save your eyes here. What you're looking at here, and for Ronnie, I think you should have these printed out to you, I believe. So you might have this little packet in front of you. There was a couple of Christmas charts, as Elsie called them, as well as there should be a little letter there that kind of highlights what I'm going to talk about here real quick. So with that said, what's up on the screen here, it's the Montana four-year cohort graduation rate, and we have from 2011 through 2020. On the screen, you're going to see a whole bunch of numbers with red and green shading. What's important to note here is where you see green, that indicates higher numbers, and red, conversely, means lower numbers. And for graduation rates, of course, higher numbers are better. So where we see green, that's a good thing. And so I'll just point out the all-student graduation rate for last year was 85.89%. That was a slight drop from the all-time high last year, but still right up just a little bit above our 10-year average. And our 10-year, if you can look at that, let me zoom in here just a little bit so you can see that a little bit better. That's that top row of numbers, and you'll see it goes from dark red, gets progressively green. So what that's showing us is we've had a trend of increasingly higher graduation rates over the last 10 years. So that's a good thing. All of our federal reporting and gender and economic, English learner, subgroups, special education, you'll see kind of down here along the left side, we have all of those listed. And in general, that whole red to green shift over the last 10 years pretty well holds true. I'll pull that out a little bit so you can kind of see that in general. There's, as with any statistics, there's some ins and outs. Let me turn off my email here since I'm starting so we don't get all those. Okay. The other thing I want to point out, all of our subgroups in 2020, just bear with me, I hope you don't get dizzy, there was all declines across the board except for our American Indian subgroup. There's some good news there. Our American Indian subgroup is actually recorded our all-time highest graduation rates in 2020. So good news there for American Indian students. I'm going to pause here for a moment before I move on to our dropout rates. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about the effect of COVID. And I do want to acknowledge, because you guys can look here at the numbers, even though those are the highest numbers for our American Indian students compared to everybody else, we got some work to do. So I will speak to that in a moment. But any questions at this point?
So Michael, this is Elsie, just a question. When it comes to the reporting, our reporting, even of COVID, we have not changed anything coming from the schools. We've not asked the schools to do anything different. We did we give a little bit more time within this, or was there any difference at all between last year's record of graduation to this year's record of graduation?
So Elsie, you jumped the gun. I was going to talk about that, but the effect of COVID on graduation and dropout rates, we're not seeing a relationship in the data. Now, that's not to say there weren't effects. And but to answer your question, did the schools ask us, did the districts ask us, or did we ask of them to do things different with graduation and dropout? No. This was one area that, from a reporting and I guess from the perspective of the graduation and dropout process, wasn't really any different because of COVID, at least from what we're seeing. Now you're gonna talk to different schools, you're gonna hear from different people. There's, as I always like to say, there's hundreds of different individual stories out there. And absolutely, we can expect that there was probably effects all across our state in each school as they struggled to adapt to remote learning and tracking those kids down and figuring out, what they needed to get to graduate. There's probably, there's as many stories as there's many students that graduated last year or did not graduate.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, I'm gonna move us to dropouts. So before we dive too deep into that, you'll notice we got our red and green again, very colorful. In this time, because it's dropout rates, lower numbers are better, right? We don't want to see high dropout rates. So where you're seeing red on this chart is a good thing. So lots of red here means those are smaller numbers. And again, that's what we want to see. And like our graduation rates, and there is a relationship between graduation and dropout, same thing over the course of 10 years, you're seeing a lot of green, which is not good, on the left side there, and slowly becoming more and more red over time, with the exception of our grades 7 and 8. And one thing I want to say about grades 7 and 8, those numbers are really, really small. We're talking maybe in the tens, maybe we might get to 3 figures with those populations. So what's important to note there is a minor deviation from over year to year results in a much larger, if you will. I thought I had turned that off. Apparently I didn't. Let's see here. Anyway, so that's so with our grade 7 and 8 dropouts, that's just an important thing to know there. That number has been increasing over the last 10 years. Number wise, it's still small. And then what my staff has told me, historically, we're getting better at assigning those dropouts in those grades, not necessarily that we're actually seeing more kids in the middle schools. Well, we are seeing more kids drop out in the middle schools, but I think our reporting is getting more accurate. That's the takeaway there. So good news on dropout. I mean, you guys can see this, and let me just zoom in so you can see that a little better, and we don't have Angela go blind on us. I'm trying to see.
Do you do that now? Do you do that by demographic for 7th and 8th grade?
No, we just do. I can break that out, but at some point those numbers get so small, I can only show you asterisks.
Yeah, we deal with that sometimes too. So let me ask another question if I
Sure.
can.
Sure.
On those numbers that don't get assigned, are those some students who have perhaps moved from one district to another and we're not able to track or follow them? Or can you explain that assigned?
Sure, that's a good question, Angela. And that's part of why graduation is what, in June, May and June for Montana? It's January of the following year, we're talking about it. That's the time it takes for us to chase down those kids and verify that they are in fact not enrolled somewhere, or that they have graduated, or that they're continuing, that they are enrolled somewhere else. That has been the challenge of getting those accurate numbers. So what I would tell you, to answer your question, is when we identify a student as a dropout, we're pretty certain that that student is a dropout and not enrolled in another Montana school, or in this work, it's a little bit fuzzy, or another school out of state. Obviously, we have to rely on what the family or tells the school, or the school finds out where the student went. And if it's out of state, that's where the validation kind of falls apart, though. It's really hard to track those kids in once they leave the state.
Thank you.
Okay. Good questions, Angela. So again, we're seeing really historically low dropout rates across the board again. I think these are almost all record. It's safe to say they're all historically high. Maybe that's an accurate statement. These are historically low. These are besides our grade 7 and 8. And that counts for how across by gender, and then also by race and ethnicity subgroups there as well. And you'll see here even, I mean, this is just here's a great example of our populations in some of our subgroups. In 2018, Asian was 0%. So that can kind of give you, from a fluctuation. Was 18 special? No, it's just that population so small. You can almost look at it. Those are by like, I don't know, 0.85. That's just to illustrate how small the numbers are in some of our subgroups. But coming back to our American Indian students here, lowest dropout rates, that's fantastic. But again, there's a gap here, right? We saw it with the graduation, and we saw here with the dropouts that those rates are still much higher than our other subgroups, and certainly our overall total. So I wanted to just speak to that here a little bit. Going back to COVID again, we did not see a relationship with COVID or the effects of the pandemic on graduation and dropout rates. And to Elsie's point, did we see challenges with collecting that data, or I think the accuracy of that data due to COVID? No, I don't. That's not what we're hearing from our schools, that there was challenges any more than there normally is.
So Michael,
Yes.
a question. I'm looking at the American Indian dropout rate, 4.79%. So that's down almost a
Full percentage.
a whole percentage point from last year. About how many students are we talking about?
I don't know off the top of my head. Obviously, our Native American is about 6% of our overall population. Is that about right? For somebody who might know?
Well, I guess I thought it was about 11% of the K-12 population. It's about 6.7% of the state's population.
Okay.
You're correct with that. Thank you.
Okay. So want a job, Angela?
No. I'm just
Okay.
trying to figure this out and then be able to break it down, because I know I'll get asked questions.
And I'm happy to, I'm writing that down. I can, if you want me to give that to you, I can give you exact numbers.
That would be really helpful.
And
Just
then Michael, I really want to get into that middle school data, and I know it might be minuscule, but I believe it would give an indication. And of course we have to mask data, but if there's an indication of anything growth-wise or challenge-wise with that, it would be very helpful to point that to a solution.
Yeah, what I've been told and seen so far was it was better. It was more accurate reporting, assigning, like we're getting better at chasing down those kids, because when you think about it, middle school is not, that's dropping out in middle school is kind of an uncommon theme. And so the middle schools themselves, or the K-8s, weren't really, when those kids would sort of drop off, they weren't like the high schools where they were, okay, we know we have to account for those dropouts, and it was kind of in their processes and in what they do. That's what I've been told, is the middle schools also understand that accounting for those dropout kids is also more important. So that's what I'm told, Elsie, is that's what's accounting for that rise and you'll see it's kind of starting to level off. There was this increase and it's kind of plateaued here over the last 3 or 4 years. So that kind of confirms that it's a collection accuracy kind of thing. Maybe. I mean, there's always, but yeah, we can dig into that and see if there's some other factors that may be contributing to that. So I want to acknowledge the gap here, and I'm going to kind of read, because I had to write this down because I think it's really important that I get this right. So I want to say that the good news is that in 2020, I want to say this. I want to say the good news is graduation rates and dropout rates are going in the right directions for our American Indian students. The bad news is the achievement gap remains. And so one thing I want to talk about, and I'm glad Donnie's here because you might be able to contribute some more detail here for me. Even before COVID-19 happened, the OPI's data and technology group and our American Indian and student achievement teams had already begun working together to identify what is called qualitative data and start to conduct research to identify ways to improve the performance of our American Indian students. So qualitative data differs from traditional quantitative data like test scores and things of that nature. It looks at more things like school climate surveys and what I would call sentiment information about, what do you got, what is your opinion of the teachers, or what do you think is, asking people what they think and attempting to take that kind of information to help inform some of our efforts and not just looking at that quantitative data. And a lot of that came, and Don, you can sure jump in at any time. I distinctly remember having a long conversation with you on this very topic earlier in 2020. I think it was before the pandemic or right as it was happening. And I know now that our teams have been working together. I know that we have some pilot schools that we are working with, doing some pilot research and surveys on some of that qualitative data. I don't want to put you on the spot. Is there any of that you would like to speak to here?
Yeah, thank you, Michael. And we've been presenting a little bit on this, that what you're talking about is some of the trauma and the situations our youth are in, and really oftentimes some of the dysfunction within our school districts. And there's things that we just kind of overlook. I don't think that the problem is our youth are not up to par. If they move to another district, they succeed and move forward very well. But the trauma and the climate of the school is oftentimes a big issue. And that's where we talk about the brain science. Brain can't learn if it's stuck in trauma. So I think with a lot of the work that we did, and I would bet that it's in the numbers that you're sharing, was we started to look at providing more of that type of support. Another issue that we may have talked about, Michael, is our academic counselors just are not up to par at times in many of our districts. And they set our students up into classes and just the simple nuts and bolts that you think that a student would have laid out before them with their counselor. often is not the case, and they get sent in the wrong areas. It affects our graduation rates. But it's a big issue across the board within some of our schools, but the trauma is one of them. And then just the health of the district is another. And when you have academic counselors missing an ACT test and nobody throws their hands up, something's wrong. And that's just one example. But I think with our team now, we're really looking at getting in and offering the support in just these basic areas, and you're seeing the changes. And someone like Dan McGee would be able to really explain some of that we found 2 students that actually had enough credits to graduate in Hart Butte last year. And you're seeing that in this data. They wouldn't have graduated, and it was one simple mistake on a grade, and we helped them. But it does get frustrating. If that kind of helps what you were asking, Mike.
I can add to that a little bit too, Michael. This is Lana.
Hey.
Hi, Lana.
Hi.
Yeah, please do. I didn't
Yeah.
see you came in unannounced. No. I wasn't
Yeah, I'm
paying attention
sorry.
when you came in.
For some reason, I thought the meeting was at 4:30, and then I looked at the email. I was like, oh my gosh, it's already going on. But yeah, just talking about the research project, which, we're so excited because we got the first report completed, and I don't know if you got to read it yet, Michael.
I have not.
Okay, so I know we're going to be getting that finalized to be able to send out on the first phase of the research that you were talking about. What's unique about the research is that we wanted to go in and get the voice of the districts and use qualitative data to be able to measure what they felt the barriers were for the achievement gap. And so it's just a beautiful, like, moving document, because the voices are emerging from these from the stakeholders within the districts that are serving American Indian students. And it's coming out strong in exactly what Donnie was talking about, that there are so many other issues that are not really related to achievement, because when you call it an achievement gap, it kind of gives you an idea, or it makes you feel like that American Indian students, their achievement levels are not the same as other students or their peers. But what we love about this research report is that it's actually showing that it's not really an achievement gap, it's more an opportunity gap. And so that's kind of what's emerging out of this report that you're talking about. So we wanted to make sure that when we have this quantitative data, and we're measuring all these data points as far as graduation rates, dropout rates, academic rates, that we're accompanying it with with like the story behind it, like what are the actual barriers. And so the report really does actually show you it's not really related specifically to achievement. It's not related specifically to too much to things that teachers are doing or need to do better. It's more about the external inputs outside of school, and then things that are happening within the school regarding like mental health and trauma. So I'm excited to be able to share that data, hopefully within the next couple of weeks.
That's great. Thank you, Lana. And I'll try and remember to start looking at it as that opportunity gap and not the achievement gap. That's good. I wanted to note, I put some stuff in the chat there that links to GEMS. I think if you guys aren't familiar with GEMS, that is our data warehouse. And Angela, that you were asking about like numbers on the dropouts. And so I have up on the screen here, I pulled up like 7th grade. There were 29 kids across the state that dropped out in 7th grade. And then if we I think you had asked about our American Indian, the numbers. This will give the number that dropped out, but not the total. So we had 340 of our American Indian students drop out last year,
Okay, so,
which is some total number.
or is that 2016 through 2020?
Yeah, and you can play around on this stuff, and yeah, but further back in time you go, I'll just say the data gets a little bit less connected to what the data currently is for a lot of different reasons. We've collected and measured things differently over the years. So, but you can go back in time if you're so inclined.
Well, this report is outstanding. And I guess my question is on the dropouts and dropout rate. Is that students who dropped out in the year, or is that by the cohort?
It is in the year, and that is, I am so glad you asked this question because it gets asked every year. And this is something I'm working, actually just started this week of going, we're proposing possibly to start publishing the cohort dropout rate along with the cohort graduation rate, so we get an apples to apples. I'm trying to understand why we've only ever done it the way we've done it this way. Obviously, it's a much smaller number. And so that's kind of, I think, behind some of this, because when you add up all, I mean, if we look at this and we go 80, I'll just rough it off and say 86% of the kids dropped out, 2%, or I'm sorry, 86% graduated, 2% dropped out. Where's the other 12%? Well, it doesn't work that way because this isn't apples to apples. The actual apples to apples dropout. So if you say in that cohort, who started in that cohort and who graduated, about 86%. How many of those dropped out? About 12% is the actual apples to apples there. And then you have that remaining, okay, where's that other 2%? A lot of those are maybe our kids who are, well, they're either not dropped out and not graduated, so they're still in school. So I get asked this question, well, I've been in this position, this is my third year, and it only took 1 week from when we released the data to get asked that question. So that's the fastest so far. But it comes up every year, and I really think I think it's important. I would love to actually hear from some of our stakeholders here or our caucus members about what is their opinion about doing a cohort dropout rate as opposed to how we've been showing it, because a lot of people don't think about it until they really look at it and they go, well, wait a second, why aren't these numbers, like, why are these numbers this way? And it's hard to explain. Then you have to go through and try and explain the difference between the two. So I'm really excited you asked that question. Thank you.
Michael, I'm sorry for asking this because I don't know since I was late. Sorry, this is Lana. Did you talk about the difference in the data due to the way we're measuring the students now, rather than just students that are designated as American Indian or designate themselves that?
So what Lana is talking about is how race is reported and how it's kind of split back here. So you can see here. So I could go into a deep dive here. What I will say is the race ethnicity designations that you're seeing on the screen there on this dropout, those are federally designated subgroups, and 99% of our reporting requires us to use those federal designations. And what you'll see there, the key here is to note multiracial. So what happens is if a student identifies as American Indian and something else, and so they'll designate themselves as multiracial, they're in the multiracial group, not in the American Indian group. Our I'm going to get it wrong, but it's the American Indian, and I'll use the word gap here. It's the law that I think it went into effect in 2007, which created the achievement gap payment, which also then requires the OPI to produce a biannual report on the performance of American Indian achievement. That's the only place that uses a different definition, at least that I'm aware of. And what happens with that report is students who identify as American Indian and something else, they are, for the purposes of that report, identified as American Indian. And that is because when the law was put forth, it was intended to serve as many students as possible in the American Indian community. And so that is why, so it has a broader, so it has more students. You're going to catch more students through that definition. And so consequently, what you see in some of those achievement gap, that's what it's called, I have to call it that, reports is that the performance tends to be higher in that report because our multiracial students as a subgroup perform higher. So I'm going to stop there and go, does that make sense to everybody?
So Michael, I just have another question.
Sure.
So if we were to go back, so I guess my question is, first of all, we could track where those dropouts came from.
Correct.
And then how would it be possible to figure out over, say, the last 5 years, where have the dropouts been? And to get, just kind of a picture, a mental picture. I mean, because I'm thinking about what Lana just spoke to, and I'm thinking about what Donnie, who just left, spoke to in regards to what is happening with the schools. I'm thinking specifically in respect to their ability to recruit and retain licensed teachers and school administrators. And so I'm just wondering what that would look like for you.
So let me clarify. So are you saying, is there a relationship between like turnover and dropout? Is that, no?
Well, right, I'm looking because I'm wondering, some of the districts, if we can see if there's a pattern year after year between some of the districts in the state that are seeing some of the highest numbers of dropouts, is there a connection? Could there be a connection with some of the data that Lana just spoke to and what Donnie spoke to? And then also taking it a step further, something that we're all working on, and that's educator recruitment and retention.
Okay. Yes, that kind of research can be done. The things that Donnie and Lana are talking about, a lot of that data we're doing is kind of new. When I was going back and saying we have a lot of quantitative data, so you could take like teacher turnover and put it against dropout rate, and I think that kind of research has actually been done over the years various times, and there's definitely a correlation or a relationship between higher turnover. You get lower across the board everything on the quantitative data in terms of performance. So you get higher. I can't speak to any specific studies, but I know I've seen that, and I see some of. I see Lana nodding her head, or was nodding her head, I think at me. But yeah, there's definitely been some research, and we can do that. What some of the data that Lana and Donnie are talking about, where it's a little bit more qualitative, we're still trying to figure out how to, what does that stuff mean, and what are the relationships? Because a lot of that becomes it's when it's qualitative, there's a lot of other factors that start to come into play about it. In what that just really means is the data starts to get a little bit less reliable or have a higher margin for error. So, but that all said, absolutely doable. And then that's where we start to get into fatigue, of survey fatigue, and data fatigue and all that good stuff, where you know, at the end of the day, it's those teachers in the classroom or those counselors in the schools that are really, and I think Donnie was saying it, and Lana, I think you did too. There's so many individual stories and situations that are going on, and really that's, if you circle that all the way back to, that's where the retention, this is Michael Sweeney's opinion, is that's where the retention comes in. If you have people that are sticking around and the quantitative data is going in the right direction, you know, then the qualitative is probably going to go in the right direction too. So that's a long way of saying, yeah, if we can reduce that turnover and keep those quality teachers and guidance and all those people at the places that they need to be, then yeah, that's a good thing. I don't know if I answered your question, Angela.
You sure did. And it just may be something that I circle back with you on. Just so if we can get a snapshot of some of that, and then maybe that's a conversation then that we can take that and layer that over some of the qualitative work that Lana is doing. I just think that all together is compelling, and the Board of Public Ed, even at their last meeting, I think before Christmas, was talking about, well, what is the formula? What are the formulas that are working? What do we need? How can we apply those formulas to those places that aren't? And I'm thinking about that from our system level too, that are post-secondary.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
what's
this is
working?
Lana. That's definitely the direction that we're moving with this, the research project that we have going on, is, you know, as because we are measuring we're measuring the graduation rates, dropout rates, and specifically the ELA and math rates of the state assessment, SBAC, and ACT. So those are the specific questions that we're asking in our research project, is specifically to those. What are the barriers, or what's causing this to happen? So our first report that we have that's coming out is focus groups that, excuse me, that we did with, you know, various stakeholders in districts that serve American Indian students both on and off the reservation. So we were able to do do focus groups with students, with teachers, you know, superintendents, principals, school board members, parents, and community members. And that specifically was to try to dig deeper, to try to get to the answer that you're talking about, and kind of using that as a way to go look at all this data mine that we have at OPI. We have so much data there, but we don't really, it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. And so that's the research project that we're doing, is to try to help us data or mine down a little bit deeper, and get to the root cause of what's causing those. And so we're just on the first phase. The next phase is we're developing a survey. Now that we have the first part done, we were able to identify 5 categories that we know is contributing to all of those factors. And then now we're going to develop a survey based on those 5 categories, dig deeper, and then also look at the quantitative data that we have at OPI. And then also, as a companion piece to the research, we're interviewing a lot of different stakeholders that have implemented tribal strategies that are working in different areas of the state, that, you know, things that are working, and then triangulating all that data. So it's like a big research project that we're working on. But just what you're talking about, Angela, that's exactly what we're doing.
Wonderful. And I just enjoy hearing you talk about it. It just is, I think, fascinating, and I can't wait to see how it all turns out.
Yeah, I'm really excited to share that report, the first part of the report. We have probably about 3 products that are going to be develop from this report, and the first part is done and in the editing and the editing phase right now. So within a couple weeks, we should have that report. And I know you're going to love to read it. You can't put it down once you start reading it.
Great stuff. Well, thank you, Lana. Thank you for the great questions. Ronnie, Joe, any questions that you have or comments for us?
No, I don't have any right now. It's just more of listening to me, for me, sorry. Yeah, I don't have any questions right now.
Great. What I would like to offer to you and your colleagues on the caucus is I'm in the book, so to speak, in the phone book. We love to hear from your constituents or you. If your constituents are coming to you with specific concerns or things that are concerning them, because we don't always get that here at the OPI. So certainly if you have some things, I love talking to people and hearing about what's going on or what's not, what they need help with, or we could do better. So I would make that offer to you. I guess I probably should have asked Elsie before I had people call me directly, but I'm by all means, I'm in the book, so to speak, and I love to hear and understand what's going on out there, so we can be better, do better, because that's who we all serve, right? So,
Michael, could you send me your this report that you did, since I missed a portion of it?
sure, I'd be happy to do that. And just Angela, I sent you the links, and I think I responded to your question.
Wow. Yeah.
And don't bookmark those links. We're actually rolling out a brand new GEMS, which is our data. That's this system here. There's going to be a brand new GEMS rolling out tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, legs crossed, arms, toes crossed, everything's crossed. So that's going to roll out tomorrow. If it works as well as I think it should, you should be able to find the graduation and dropout rates pretty easily. The addresses will still stay the same. So when you go to GEMS, the new one will magically be there for you, and it'll be so well designed you won't have any questions about how to find stuff. But if you do, you can reach out to me directly. I'm happy to help anybody with this.
So Michael, is that part of the American Indian data dashboard? I think they were calling it, or?
Well, if we are building a dashboard, it will be on GEMS. Let me say that. So if we have an American Indian dashboard, that's where it'll be. That might be something we're still working on and not like ready for release yet.
Okay.
So we've got a lot of people doing a lot of different things. That's why I have the confused look on my face. They don't always tell me exactly what they're working on, or I forget sometimes. So.
No, I'm excited for what you guys are rolling out. It's going to help us too. And but yeah, there is, I know, a dashboard that's being created for just specifically for American Indian student data.
Great. Oh, I know what you're talking about. We're going to try and do stuff with your non-qualitative or non-quantitative data. And put it, I know. Well, I'd like to thank, and I would throw the same offer out, Angela, to you as well and your colleagues. I'm always happy to talk about data with anybody who's happy to listen to me talk. So, but if you do have concerns or you have specific research or, gee, I wonder if there's something kind of type questions, hit me up. The more I better understand what was of interest to you, can make sure we're working on the right things here. So thank you. If there's no more questions.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
It's my pleasure.
And I'll ask my partner. She's currently a 6th grade teacher. So yeah, I can ask if she has any questions as well.
Absolutely. Love talking to teachers too. We're hearing as these younger kind of new generation of teachers come in, they talk about data, not as like some of the old timers like me do. It's not anything special. It's what they come out, they're trained. And to them, data can be something. I've heard some of like the lower elementary teachers, data to them is, smiley faces or behavioral things up on the chalkboard. For the student, they're using it without even thinking about it. So, but would love, yeah. If it's not parent already, would love to talk to. I love talking data. Great. Well, thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Lana. I guess I think that just leaves Sarah and I as the lone one standing. So thank you for taking some time this afternoon and listening to me.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
everyone.
much. Really break it down.
I'll be
And
sending out the link to our legislators who weren't able to join today, as well as the documents that Michael shared. And like he said, his contact information is available in the documents, so reach out if you've got more questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.